No one could have foreseen that the peaceful hospital where Xinyu had been quietly recovering would become the backdrop for a press event so heartfelt and unexpected. It would change the course of Dylan Huan's life, reshape Xinyu's future, and leave millions of fans deeply moved. Before we get into this powerful emotional moment, make sure to subscribe, because what you're about to hear is raw, unfiltered, and unforgettable. Just a few days ago, speculation swirled across social media. Whispers about Xinyu's sudden hospitalization were met with a wave of rumors and misinformation. Many wondered why Dylan had remained silent, avoiding the spotlight as headlines ran wild. But behind the scenes, he was preparing for something no one in showbiz had dared to do, bringing the truth directly to the public, alongside the people who mattered most. When word leaked that Dylan himself had organized a press gathering inside the hospital's private wing, the media barely believed it. Many assumed it was a miscommunication, or maybe another celebrity stunt. But as invitations were verified and a handful of journalists were escorted into a secured, intimate room just steps away from Xinyu's ward, the reality began to set in. No cameras, no glamour, just a plain table, a few microphones, and the quiet hum of anticipation. Then, Dylan Huan entered, not with his usual entourage, but with Xinyu's parents by his side. Both looked exhausted, yet calm. There was no polished set or branded backdrop, only honesty in the air. This wasn't a scripted drama. It was something far more real. As the world tuned in through unofficial live streams and phone-recorded clips, fans saw a very different Dylan. His usual charm and effortless smile were gone. His face was tired, his eyes red, and his voice shaky with emotion. And when he began to speak, there was no preamble, just a heartfelt apology. He spoke to the press, to supporters, and most importantly, to Xinyu herself, apologizing for the silence, for letting confusion take over while he fought quietly to shield her from a public storm. "I'm not here today as a performer or a public figure," he said, "but as someone who cares for her more deeply than I've ever said aloud. I owe her, and all of you, the truth." The room froze. Then, without permission from any PR team or agency, Dylan did something almost unheard of in the industry. He laid everything bare. He explained that Xinyu had been dealing with health issues far longer than anyone suspected. Her recent emergency wasn't random. It was the breaking point after months of grueling work, cross-country flights, and pushing past her limits despite doctors' warnings. He shared how she'd laugh about needing naps between scenes, when in truth, she was clinging to consciousness just to finish the day. She never wanted sympathy, Dylan said. She didn't want people to see her pain. She used to say, "Let them remember my laugh, not my weakness." And I let her keep that mask on for too long. In a deeply moving moment, Xinyu's mother reached out and placed her hand gently over Dylan's, a silent show of unity. Her father, rarely seen in public, added his own quiet words, thanking Dylan for being the person they had always hoped would be by their daughter's side. But it was Dylan's next words that sent shockwaves across the world. After speaking with Xinyu's family and doctors, he announced he would be stepping away from his career, indefinitely. "I can't go back to pretending everything is fine on set while the person I love most is fighting for her life. My place is here, with her. That's the only role I care about right now." Reporters were stunned. One of Asia's most beloved stars was voluntarily walking away from the peak of his success, all for love. Social media exploded within minutes. Hashtags like #ForXinyu, #DylanStays, and #RealLoveExists began trending across Asia. And then came the question everyone had been afraid to ask, but needed to hear answered. A journalist at the back of the room bravely asked, "Are you saying you and Xinyu are more than just friends?" Dylan paused, looked at her parents, then faced the microphone. "She is my family," he said simply. "She always has been. That's all anyone needs to know." No carefully worded statement, no spin, just truth. The kind fans had only dreamed of hearing, spoken at a moment of complete vulnerability. Outside the hospital, fans who had gathered with flowers and messages of support openly wept. Some held signs reading, "Stay strong, Shinyu, thank you, Dylan." Security gently held the crowd back as people surged forward, hoping for even a glimpse. In the hours that followed, media outlets struggled to keep pace with the outpouring. Fellow actors praised Dylan's courage. Critics debated whether he had gone too far. But among fans, only one emotion seemed to matter: gratitude. Gratitude for the honesty, for the love, for the reminder that behind fame are real people with real hearts. A nurse later revealed that Shinyu had watched the entire conference from her hospital bed. She cried quietly through most of it, squeezing her mother's hand and whispering that Dylan was being ridiculous for sacrificing so much. But those who saw her knew she felt safe, loved, and ready to fight for her recovery. Support poured in from all corners of the industry. Directors pledged roles whenever Dylan was ready to return. Brands reconsidered dropping partnerships, touched by the authenticity of his actions. And fans saw this as more than a news story. It became a beacon, a reminder that loyalty and love can still matter more than fame. No one knows what the future holds. Will Dylan return to the screen? Will Shinyu rise again? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: what happened in that hospital room wasn't a press stunt. It was a declaration of love and loyalty that no rumor could tear down, no headline could twist. As the night settles in, remember Shinyu, still fighting, still healing, and remember Dylan Wan, who showed us that the greatest thing you can do in this world isn't to play a hero, but to simply be one for someone who needs you. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because when Shinyu smiles again, we'll all be smiling with her.